Okay, so what we're going to do now is we are going to start working on the body. And the body is actually a very important piece, especially this area over here. Because it will just basically decide all of our scaling. It will decide everything from like the diameter of the barrel to the diameter of like here this back piece to just the overall scaling. It will do so much stuff, so it's really important that we get it right. I once actually accidentally like messed it up, and I like found out only like 6 or 7 hours later, and I just had to spend like what 4 or 5 hours just trying to fix it. So I definitely learned from that mistake, and I do not want to make it again. So for the rest, it is not too difficult, but what I actually want to do before we start work on the body is I want to spend my time in actually deciding the diameter of this barrel, because it's actually a really good piece in order to get a sense of like the scaling, because it's a cylinder, so it's always a very even something. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to create a cylinder, and this will later on also become our final cylinder. So I'm just creating a cylinder, and I just want to rotate this. Oh, let's turn on snapping over here. Let's rotate this 90 degrees, and I'm going to turn on edges and faces. Now I'm also just going to go ahead and get rid of the height segments, and basically I'm going to leave it to 18 sides for now. If you look at this cylinder, let me just capture our pure rev over here. Okay, so if we have a look to like a side view, over here you can see that it is not just like a full cylinder. It's what would you say this piece? If it's like half, it is like, I don't know, 1/3 of a cylinder, something in that direction. It's a bit tricky to say, but yeah, basically the general idea is that it is not a full cylinder, so we do want to go ahead and like work with that. Now over here, it also looks like that over here the cylinder is actually a bit wider on this side, but that might just be because there's like some angling or something going on. But basically now that we know that, if we just go ahead and move this over here, we can take that into account when we create this cylinder. So for this one, we need to basically have a thickness of this piece, and then base the cylinder upon that. So if we go ahead and just very quickly create a box over here, so we are going to do like a traditional box modeling for this. For now, I'm just going to create a very simple box like this, and just scale it up. There we go. If we just go ahead and edge and face in here. And now basically the reason that I want to go ahead and do this is because I need to set these, here if we just move them below each other, I need to make sure that the end of this cylinder hits the end of the box. But it still needs to be this size. So that means that this will make sure what the thickness is. So if I scale this up, so for example I say, okay, I want it to end at this piece over here. So I scale this up. That means that at that point, which is around here, it would go up. I think it's easier if I just go ahead and show you. So first of all, I had like a top-down view here somewhere. Or not. Oh, I thought I had one. Oh yeah, here we go. See? So you can get like a general sense of like the scaling or what it is like. So it is not too thick. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go to my side view over here. And what we did now is, so we scaled it up, which means that if I go ahead and just convert, actually let's make this more segments. Let's go from 18 to 24. You need to just make sure that you have like enough segments. So 24, 32 maybe. Let's go for 32, just because it is such an important part. It's literally just sitting here. So once we've done 32, we can go ahead and we can just move this so that these two edges over here are on the same line. And now basically if I convert this to an edit poly, or you can just add a modifier, I'm just going to convert it. I basically want to just go ahead and select this one and this one. And the reason I do that is because then I can like decide roughly how large this would be. So let's see. It should be about fine. So if we would go ahead, oh, I messed up. Let's select this one and this one, for example. So if I would go ahead and like delete this temporarily, and also we can actually delete just the sides over here. I don't care about those. The goal for me is that I want to see if I do a Shift E, and sorry, I just mean extrude settings. I think my shortcut for extrude settings on edges is wrong, so I will fix that. because it's supposed to do extrude settings. I just use my modeling tab over here for this. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm basically just using my extrude settings to move this up like this. And the reason that I'm doing this is because I want to scale this out and I want to see what this looks like. So that when I look at this cylinder over here, that this thickness amount that we have over here looks the same as that we can see in some of these areas over here. So what do I see? I see that this side is looking pretty fine, but I think we actually want to go ahead and make the cylinder go a little bit further back. Now I need to have a second opinion, so I need to, not second opinion, I just need to look at multiple images for this. These ones, they seem even, which is totally fine. Like, that stuff can work, but it wouldn't make much sense for that to be even, and then this side to be further back, because that might give some inconsistency. So we might actually want to just keep this even. But it does look like it's going further back. So if we just if I move this over here, if we just have a look. So this piece would go up here. And if we then go ahead and let's see, if we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over here. So let's say that this is going to be like the other side. I can select these two faces and delete them. And then if I just press 5 to go into element select, I can delete like the top and the bottom, and I can just have a quick look at this. So this might be a little bit of like back and forth, but that's totally fine. Basically what I need to do here is figure this out at first, and then everything else will follow along. So if I just do Alt X and just like temporarily just move this the same way. So first of all, what I want to figure out is I want to figure out if I need to make the top and bottoms just as like one same thickness, or if I can like move something back. So over here, I'm just doing this quite sloppy because you can see it a bit like a block out. So this side is looking quite good. But then for this side, I feel like that it needs to move further along. The problem that we have with that is that if we would do that, that might not give a perfectly straight line down here. And I just want to make sure that there is logic in that. The reason for this, because if this one is moved further back, and this bar is exactly, I keep forgetting the shortcuts for this, is exactly in the center, like you can see over here, see? So it is exactly in the center. Even over here, it's a bit tricky to see. Then it wouldn't make much sense. I hope that you can understand what I mean. Like, we can just move something further back, at least from what I can see, because then these two pieces over here, they would not be in the center anymore. So it would not be like a nice straight cut. Now the second thing that I want to do, which goes a little bit by feeling, is to get a sense of like the thickness of our gun. Now if I look at this looks like a pretty decent thickness at the top. So I am actually quite happy with this. So the last thing that I want to do is I just want to go ahead and select, let's say, these two faces over here. Oh, and let's also select this face because else it doesn't work. And I just want to see if I would scale this down a little bit, how that would feel. Now, you know what? I think I am happy with the thickness. I think we're onto something. I think this is a correct like begin, where we have like a good beginning and a good end, like you can see over here. And that we can build around it. So knowing this thickness that we have over here, this will be roughly the thickness of our gun, and we will make everything around this. This is very important because we need to guide this shape over here. And we kind of like need to guide it around there. So for this shape that we can see over here, so that is pretty much just going to be a cylinder. I think what I will do is I will grab my body over here. So let's for now just move this like somewhere over there. I don't really mind. Oh wait, actually I do mind because I want to decide on my thickness. So the thickness of this cube is going to be very simple. Let's go in here and do an effect pivot only and center it so that we can center a pivot. Let's scale this in. So we are gonna go for, what was it, just in front? Sorry if I sometimes, like here, you can see like a tiny little lip. That is the other side, and there we go. See? So it's going to be just in front, which means that for this piece, I need to move this out just like a little bit like this. Now, I just want to make sure that this is in the center. So if I just go ahead and Here we go, set this to 0, 0, 0. Center pivot for this one, set also to 0, 0, 0. So now I'm sure that these two pieces are in the center. I want you to move back up. So that now when I scale this, it will be evenly scaled across both of these sides. So let's start by just doing something like over here. So we just want to have it slightly going over here, maybe like a little bit more. There we go. So slightly going over there. And now we can start with our actual modeling. So we got this cube. I'm going to go ahead and convert this to an edit poly. And I'm going to first of all start with just like the base shape. The base shape is just going to be, for now we can just hold Alt X and then later on we can swap around our material. I'm going to move it up until this point, but this will actually be one piece, this entire thing over here. So that is something that we do want to keep in mind. Now later on this piece will go up until this point, and that is where it will stop over here most likely. And you can see that over here, so that is where this will stop pretty much. Yeah, so it goes down and stops there. I will take care of that later on. I first of all just want to focus on like the big shapes. So we got, for example, we got this piece, and then over here there is going to be another soft shape over here. But for now, let's get started with just something like this. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go to face select, and I'm just going to do a Shift E, and I'm going to extrude this face out up until this point. So what we need to do is we need to start by actually creating a cylinder over here, which will then smoothly go down there. So this is mostly going to be for measurements. But if we go to our side view over here, we can go ahead and we can start by creating a cylinder. So this is, I'm going to take my time for this because this is actually quite tricky to do. That is a good reference. Yeah, here. So I think this is like quite a good reference. So we can see that we want to go around this cylinder quite a bit, but this cylinder is also going to have another piece sitting around it. So if should I already do that now maybe? Yeah, it might be handy if I just model that now. If I first of all do like a little bit of this. See, at this point it becomes annoying. So I'm just going to go to my materials and I'm just going to apply my see-through material so that I can actually see what I'm doing. So knowing this shape over here, what we basically want to do is we basically want to go ahead and I will use already this piece. I'm going to move this up until, let's see, up until around this point. Now if I just go ahead and go to vertex mode, this piece over here, I will move it up until around this point because that's where we are going to have like a bunch of other stuff sitting here. But basically the general idea is that I prep this so that I can like work on it more later on. But for now I just want to do like some basics. And then over here what I'm going to do is we are basically just going to go ahead and like make like a line guiding it down. So just let's move this up a little bit over here. Okay, so this line, if I just quickly hide selection on this, that I can, because it's a bit tricky to see which one I need to follow on this shape. I feel like I need to follow this one. I feel like it goes from over here. Oh no, wait, let's have a look at the other side. Yeah, so it is actually merging together with this piece over here. So if we go ahead and, do I have any better views of this? Come on, give me something. Like I got another one of those, but on the other angle. Just trying to find it. Oh, there you are. Okay, that is not very helpful. I was hoping that it came from the other side. Okay, so I am just going to take my time. So it will be around there, which means that if we go ahead and let's just unhide all so that we have this thing back. If we go ahead and just like place a line here for some guidance. Now, if you go and just select a line, I often do this, and you will see me doing this also quite often in this course, is I use these lines to just create like some basic guidance over here. Now, first of all, what we want to do is grab these two edges over here at the top, and I'm just scaling these flat. This is because I can remember that I did that by hand, so I want to make sure that they are just on the same level. So for the line, let's go ahead and grab a line. And I'm actually going to first of all start by using this version over here. So I just place a line And I want to place this probably up until the center, because then it will be taken over by the cylinder, at which point that it will stop. So if I go ahead and go to like the center of my cylinder up until this, and then click and drag. So you can see that we like create this outline that we have over here, something like this. Now for this outline, it's a little bit jagged, so let's go into our line and interpolation and just boost this up just to get like a few more extra segments over here. Okay, so let's see that we have something like this. Now if we just go and press 1, I want to make sure that over here these lines, let's turn off snapping, are straight to make sure that this has like a straight end. And at this point, let's just do an Alt X on that piece so that I can actually, can I select my, let's grab our, I do not want to yet move my line because I might want to add more pieces to it later on. And if I move it, that becomes a pain. So that is pretty good, so that we got something like this. And it's just like a guidance for me, just so that I know what I need to do at this point. So this is where this shape will meet. However, this shape will already stop at around this point. So over here at this point, oh no, wait, it might actually want to get like another line here. Now, because these are not connected, we are not able to just place an edge like this. We need to go ahead and just go ahead and go to edge select all of these edges and just press connect, which will add an edge on both sides at the same time, which makes things a bit handier. So I believe that I want to stop this at around this point. The reason I believe that is because over here you can see that it like just above the cylinder, this is where the cut happens and where it becomes straight, and then it just like cuts off the cylinder and then it becomes flat. I don't know if I can show you the cutoff of the cylinder. Here, see? So you can see like the cutoff of the cylinder. Okay, so it's very important to just keep looking at your reference, especially in the beginning. It's just very important. I'm not going to argue with that. So we got this shape over here, which means that we can delete this one, and the rest I will get to later. All I care about now is that I want to go ahead and like extrude this shape out. So this shape, if we just go ahead and select our line again, shall we now carefully move? I think we need to move this back. So this one, yeah, I feel like, and the reason why I feel like I need to move it back is because over here you can see that this is probably still included in the body, because we only have like the thick shape that goes around here. So if we move this back, and then the whole goal for this shape by painting it on this one is that I can evenly move this back over here, but that does feel like it creates a very large size, so I might want to improvise a little bit. So let's see, this is always a bit tricky, especially when it's a bit hard to see. I just want to make sure that I have it correctly. So if this is part of our base shape over here, and this one also, that means that our main shape cuts off here. Okay, so our main shape cuts off here, and this is why I was saying like, okay, I don't want to yet move my edge, because it means that I can just go to insert in our line, move this up. Now it looks like that I just need to right click and go to a Bezier corner so that I can scale this down so that it's flat again. There we go. Okay, so this line goes up here, and this is where we want to cut away this shape. Good. Now if we move this line by holding shift, so we copy move the line and we move it here, this is where something just doesn't feel like right. I probably want to just go ahead and I want to like move this closer together and then move this further apart so that it's merging, but let's see, this is not yet. Let's first cut it out. Maybe we can get a better sense of things to cut it out. So I want to cut this out. I'm just going to use a boolean to cut this out because it makes it a bit easier. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to let's hide this shape for now. Hide selection. I'm going to grab this. I'm going to go to insert, and I want to insert here at the top, and I just want to make this into a closed shape. There we go. so that we can now extrude this out and then we can create a cut out of it. So for this shape, if we just go ahead and go to extrude and just extrude this out far enough so that we are cutting away at this point. And here you cannot see it, but I'm sometimes just switching over to a plain material. Now at this point I can also decide how many cuts I want to have by going into my line and just turning on our show end result, which will show whatever is on top of it. So if we just go ahead and set this a little bit lower, and I want to try and like create some fairly even segments over here. So with 17, the segments are fairly even. Of course, they cannot be perfect, but I do not mind because this can just stay open face-wise. So I can grab these faces over here. Yeah. I can go down here and I can go to Create, Compound Objects, Pro Boolean, Advanced Options. And in Advanced Options you want to press Remove Only Invisible. The reason you want to do this is because else it leaves like messy geometry left. So then just press Start Picking and just pick your mesh. There we go, see? So we now got this cut, which will just nicely cut along over here. All we will need to do is convert this back to an edit poly. Now it will probably have like some messy geometry here, but that's something that I will work on later. First of all, so this one will kind of like sit in here. Yeah, so messy geometry. Let's see, what are you doing there? Select this face, press Ctrl Backspace. You can press Ctrl Backspace just to get rid of like some of these edges, which is what I'm going to do. So I don't know why these have shifted. They need to be exactly on top of each other. So if I see vertices that we do not need, like over here, I can just go ahead and I can press Ctrl Backspace. Now I am going to leave these around because they could be a useful guidance later on, but I don't need as many. So just press Ctrl Backspace, and I'm probably going to press Ctrl Backspace for this one, and then for these lines over here. Simply go ahead and click Target for Target Weld. And just click on one vertex and then move it to the next one. There you go, see? There we go. Over here. Ctrl Backspace. Okay, now this one, and this one. So I want to now switch over to our original cylinder, segment-wise. So I can just press Ctrl Backspace on these. And at this point, that should look all correct. Okay, now of course these vertices are all open, they have nothing merged together. You can also double check over here at the top to see if you have multiple vertices, but for now that should be fine. So what we're going to do now is we are going to use that little line that we have, because now what we want to do is we want to go ahead and we want to create this cutout shape. So it's basically just going to be an extrude. The only thing that is important is to see the placement of the extrude. So if I go ahead and go to this line, press 1 to go into vertex mode, I basically need to decide the thickness of this. Can I just select this piece and add my see-through material? There we go. Just make it a bit easier to see. So I need to select the thickness of this piece. And that's basically going to be defined. Now, I'm not satisfied that I can see it in any of these images as far as I can see. It's like I need to kind of like eyeball it at this point. So that's why I want to just take my time. And I'm also not trusting this angle over here, because I want to go for like a nice soft angle. And if I need to go all the way like this, just to accommodate with that angle, I don't know, that feels wrong. What I can also do is I just want to have a quick look at this one. Okay, just to see roughly where it meets. And it meets roughly, so it already has like straight piece down, click, so yeah, it does meet probably at like this point. I think it actually meets at this cut over here. So the cut, which actually does accommodate with the angle a little bit better if I do that. So let's say we go for something in this direction. So we have these cuts over here. Yes, okay. I think I'm quite happy with that, and then we can just always extrude this later on. So we are doing this because we need to know the diameter of the final piece around here. Now in order to make these cuts properly, what I want to do is these vertices that we have over here. I just want to go ahead and I simply want to, can I just mirror this? Yeah, it is exactly the same. So I can just mirror this. So I can just as well nicely move these vertices like this so that they are connected. And then I will mirror it so that it also applies on the other side. I'll show you what I mean. Just give me 1 second. Because we need to connect these vertices, because else we cannot draw where our line is going to be. Because I'm not going to use a boolean this time. I'm simply going to, by hand, trace over the line to mimic all the segments. Here, see, so I can just like place it over there. So if I do my see-through material, I can see this line, and now all I really need to do is I need to go to my cut tool, and maybe at this point what you want to do is you just want to go ahead and do a very quick effect pivot only, center object. Let's make this a solid material for now. Effect pivot only turned off, and then just do a quick symmetry. So I just have my modifier stack here. I do assume that you know how to add this, as it is very basic, just by going in here, configure modifier sets, and you can drag in whatever modifier you want. So whenever I press this one, it's just one of my modifiers that I have in here. So I go to symmetry, and I press flip. Perfect. See, so now it is perfectly mirrored. So now I don't need to worry about that. Now all I need to do is I need to go back into my edit poly, and I can just simply go ahead and go to vertex mode, place a cut here, and then start by tracing around my line. I think I need more segments. I have a feeling like it won't look very good if I do not have some extra segments in here. So these segments are fine because we want to keep them pretty much the same. What if I just like end this here and then simply select all of these and then move them a little bit further. There we go. I keep pressing Alt X because I think I have my symmetry. Okay, so we got that piece. Now this line that I have over here, let's turn off symmetry mode because it always shows you everything in yellow. Just go ahead and press Ctrl backspace, and that shouldn't break anything. So now all that we have left is this little line over here, which nicely goes around here. That should do the trick. So all you need to do now is you just need to go ahead and let's see, at this point we end up like merging this together. Feel like that's a little bit higher. I feel like we want to go ahead and just select this and move it a little bit higher. Let's also select this edge just to keep it even. Let's see, so is this enough? What if we make this quite a bit higher to around this point? Try to like measure it with this point, and then if we place a segment, and that segment is going to be just below it. There we go. Okay, so we can now go ahead and we can select these faces over here. There we go. And then if you just go ahead and press Shift E to go to extrude settings. At least for me it's Shift E. I don't know if you have a different shortcut. Go ahead and set this to be a local normal extrude. And then we can carefully extrude this out. And now our goal is to first of all decide this thickness over here, and then we can always just merge it down from that point. So this is the important one, this thickness. What if we set this to like a sweet 1 centimeter, just to keep it even? 1.05 maybe? 1.1? I know, I might be picky, but this is actually very, very important. So I hope that you can sort of like see how important this is. Symmetry. Oh, okay. I don't know. My symmetry is being a bit messed up, probably because of this piece. If you don't want to see this piece whenever you're doing your symmetry, all you need to do is really just select these edges, press a single connect down the middle, and then simply just go to face mode and just delete this half. Because then when you go into symmetry, it will just move it back. Okay, so first of all with this piece. Up here, it looks like that it is going into the top, as you can see over here. So we are just going to go ahead and simply using our target weld to merge these down like this. Perfect. So it goes down, and then up here, it looks like that it, here, just like softly moves down in here, which means that we probably just also want to taper this off. Now, the easiest way that I would say to do this is to just do it a little bit by hand. So you first of all move this edge and you move it all the way to the side, because this is where it's going to be merged together. Then you select this edge and you move this one around halfway to that point. Then you select this edge, move this one halfway to that point. This one to that point, and by the time that we turn this into a high poly, this will look really nice and smooth. Yeah, so just give it a try. You can also go ahead and have like a look at like your side view. So we go straight and then we like taper it off. Yeah, I'm quite happy with that. Then go ahead, go to vertex mode, and just these two vertices, just collapse them so that they become one. And collapse these also. There we go. Okay, this side over here, we can just go ahead and select, hold shift, click to just select all of these side angles, and just press delete. We've done that one too. And now the last thing that we have a little problem with is this area over here. And if I just have a look at my edge, so if I just go ahead and let's see, so where is our edge? Or our U, where are you? Okay, so that is the correct angle. So basically the angles are getting messed up at, let's see, at which point do they get messed up? Basically what I'm trying to figure out is I'm trying to figure out if I need to move this forward or this back. So if I move this forward over here. Yeah, let's do this from like our side view. So we are basically, let's see, if we move this forward until it hits those points that we can no longer see that angle. I wonder if that is good enough. Yeah, you might even just move this up so that it matches the same area. But that flattens it. See? Here, that flattens the shape. So then we would probably want to go ahead and just select these areas and then move them back a little bit so that they. And then over here, it's okay if we probably don't need to have a sharp cut here. Do we? Just having a look at my reference. Just give me 1 second. We move down. No, we do not need to have a sharp cut there. So we could, but it does look nicer to have a sharp cut there now I look at it. Okay, so basically, what you want to do is you just want to go ahead and let's move this back a little bit so that we can roughly keep the same size. As you can see over here, and then it just starts to taper off, so. Let's move these on top of each other. There we go. So that looks like it's looking quite good. It has like a soft flow to it. That's very important. And of course the diameter is very important. Now we will add a bevel to this later on. But I think for now, I think we got enough for the measuring. So if you would turn it on like a symmetry. See, so now we have a diameter. And now we know the diameter that we need for the backside. And that was the whole goal of this, so that we have that. So we can now go to our front view, for example. We can unhide all so that we get this piece back over here. And basically what we want to do now is we want to go ahead and probably use a line for this. So we are going to have a line and we are going to draw out this pattern that we have over here. So this line stops at this point. Yes, it stops at this point. So I just want to place a straight line here. Then I want to go to like the center over here. Move this around and we will scale this line up. So we move this to the center over here. And then we basically move this down to around this area where we place it to the side. Now to know exactly how far down we need to go, we need to go in here. And at this point I am going to move my line around. Let's do a height selection here. we basically need to go ahead and here, I was off a little bit. Oh no, wait, actually I'm quite close. So we want to move this down up until this point. And then this shape over here, because we are going to scale it up, I'm not yet worried about that. Basically, my goal is to just create like a smooth flow going from this point. By the way, this line you can now place in the center here. So a smooth flow from this point. So let's right click and do a Bezier corner. Oh, we are already quite over time, so this took a bit longer than expected, but I think it is too important for me to time lapse it. Because it might seem simple, but it's actually quite difficult just to get this perfect. So a smooth flow from that point, and then if we also do a Bezier corner here, we can then go ahead and we can like, there we go. So we softly flow this off, and then it hits the end point. So if I now go ahead and I go to my normal scaling tool, I want to scale this up to, or shall we extrude this out first? We have a little trim around here, so maybe it's good to just scale it up like a tiny bit. Like that. So here we scale it up like a tiny bit. Just reconfigure this so that it does try and keep like a fairly even amount, and then only at this point we can go away from that. And then later on we will just extrude this further out to make it bigger. So we got this point now. Now in the next chapter what we can do is we can go ahead and we can start by just measuring this along with this point. So like moving this nicely against it and start extruding this shape out so that we have that initial shape. And we can take it from there. So let's go ahead and continue with that in the next chapter.